Hey, welcome back to Metropole Grid. My name is Andre.
I'm Patrick.
Thanks so much for tuning in. This is round 3, Can Nats East Coast Edition 2023 Swiss rounds. It is worth noting, this is technically not table 1. I think this is like table 7. That's just where the camera was set up.
Right.
And I agree with that. I think it's interesting. We're going to see a lot of the players at table 1 eventually in the top cuts. So this is going to be
a fair point, yeah.
kind of the players who are vying for that top cut.
And you might see a bit more variety in the deck choices and things like that as well.
On the left, we have Chromatically coming in from the States playing Hoshiko. Mind you, this is Steven. Steven has played at a whole lot of Canadian nationals. I think every Can Nats I've been to, he has crossed the border to come play.
Right.
And he's actually playing with a Can Nats playmat he got from making the top 8, just losing in the finals, unfortunately, back in 2018. So
Oh, wow.
He's here to rep that. On the right, from Canada, this is Gregor from Ottawa.
Yep.
Again, some of the players that we've been playing Netrunner with against for, I feel like, nearly a decade now.
Don't say that.
Yeah, I know, right?
I already feel old thinking about the last time we recorded commentary.
Yeah, it was, I think, so cool again to see some of these players we haven't seen in a while because there hasn't been that much like in-person play. But to see some of these folks come out and travel is an absolute honor. So thanks so much for all the folks who came out. Now, this matchup on the left, Hoshiko, can't say it enough. Very popular ID right now in the competitive season. Hoshiko just wins, I think, all the continentals to date, intercontinentals. She's doing great. Her text box might feel a little busy. It's pretty simple largely. Again, you access a card, you get 2 credits, you flip, start a turn, lose a credit, draw a card. And you just want to stay on that side for as much as you can.
Yeah, because really paying a credit to draw a card is not that bad.
No. Free card draw's great. Mind you, Gregor, the outfit.
Okay.
Another very popular on-meta ID right now.
Yes.
When you take a bad publicity, that's 3 credits. And this deck got so much support from some of the recent NSG sets with win conditions, fast events with regulatory capture. You still got some illicit ice as much as we lost some in the rotation.
Valentau is a good new illicit ice.
We'll definitely see that today. So starting with 15 credits and 1 bad publicity, Hoshiko is someone who can definitely use the bad pub. Now running archives just to make Hoshiko flip.
Yep.
Getting a Gachapon down on a daily cast, just the sort of value we expect to see in Hoshiko. So now we're flipped over. That run is worth a card and a credit. So it's a very efficient run as much as you're just accessing a card in archives,
Yeah, it's like a daily cast without, it's like a dream net without the dream net.
Exactly. Install a remote server. A big thing, Spin Doctor just a
Spin
draw.
Doctor, just get some draw.
So you're going to see in the narrative of these outfit games, the big number here is 4 bad publicity. Once the corporation's on 4, regulatory capture.
Becomes a 2-2.
Exactly.
Basically, yeah.
So you can score that agenda from hand. It doesn't get less than 2-2. It does bottom out, unlike ontological dependence, some of the other agendas. But getting 4 bad publicity, which is going to be mostly attached to resing ice, as much as too big to fail, and hostile takeovers are going to be very important.
It's kind of easy for an outfit to get to 4 bad pub.
Okay, Gachapon getting cracked here. A standard enough card in these Hoshiko lists lets you look for programs and virtuals. We see here a couple good options. Not sure you want your cleaver that early, but an early
Paladin Plamu is a good thing to get early for sure.
And really important to understand, this is going to be cracked on the end of the corporation's turn. So any card that comes with a start of turn trigger, like Paladin Puemo or Fermenter, will actually come in accelerated. So that Paladin actually does something immediately, which is the best time to do that.
I need to remember to crack that at the end of my opponent's turn rather than the beginning of mine, because I get that 1 turn more boost.
Now, 21 credits is a lot of money. And I think the most common outfit deck we're seeing right now is actually Big Deal Outfit.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah, so 17 cost operation that allows you to put 4 advancements on a card. If you can Big Deal out an Atlas with 2 counters on it, I wouldn't say you've won the game.
You've won in our hearts.
Well, it's so hard to stop
yeah, of course, because then you can search for a hostile whenever you want.
Yeah.
Twice.
So here, on the left, Steven, he just needs to set up a bit. Looking for the breakers in Hoshiko, that's a difficult thing. Again, the bad publicity will help you some of the break costs, but the big scary face check here, worst case scenario is usually the Trebuchet, which allows the corporation to trash any one of your installed cards. It's a Sentry at 6 strength, hard to break until the bad publicity adds up, but we're going to at least challenge the Spin Doctor.
All right.
If you don't trash it, you get to keep Hoshiko online. If you do trash it, returning those cards are not that important.
And Spin Doctor really only costs 1 credit to trash because of the bad pub right now, so might as well use it.
We're shuffling back the 2 economic transactions, so just more money in the deck. Oftentimes you'll see corporations, I think, just get more money when they don't need money, but this deck, like, again, with a 17 cost operation, can use a lot of money really quickly.
Yeah, of course.
Fermenter coming down? I think Hoshiko might not see an access here. Again, now Archives is empty, so you can't run it to get Hoshiko online.
True.
And we're going to discard a Hippo, flipping back to the non-digital side. So if you weave in and out, that's, again, it's like a free access with a click and a credit. It's not a bad spot to be until we get the Dream Net up and then the narrative changes. Now, if you see that hand there, I think you see the Atlas in the hand. I think you see a regulatory capture.
Yeah.
Understanding that sometimes outfits just draw bad. where they have cards like Regulatory Capture that you want to draw in the mid game and are useless in the early game. Like sometimes HQ Pressure really works.
But you still put 3 of them in your deck
Oh, yeah.
because it's so good. But yeah, you don't want to see them early.
Icing up and advance. This is a huge turning point of the game.
Yeah.
If that is an Atlas with the token, you need to deal with that as soon as possible because getting that ability to grab any card from your deck turns on these 2-card combos.
Yep.
Fast advance with Audacity.
Get on the Atlas train.
Exactly. So that is very scary. We want to see if Steven can contest this. We see in hand he does have a decoder. It's worth knowing rotation has taken away Bulwark. So the things that actually end the run here are like Valentau because of the credit differentials, maybe border control, envelopment.
There is Valentau, yeah.
Rezzed for only 2 credits. In fact, when these subroutines fire, as much as Steven's going to get huge value off the raindrops, it's very good into this like 3 subroutine ice.
This is a great piece of ice for this specific outfit deck. I love that.
But this is a 0-cost res. It only costs the runner 1 credit. It is very much worth noting the bad publicity you get mid-run. You technically have the 2 bad publicity, but you can't spend that
during that run.
Yes. Because you only get the bad publicity translated to credits at the start of the run. So we're going to bounce off of that. But very good value, though.
Yeah, getting a lot of cards. 3 cards.
Anarch,
4 from Raindrops?
3. Anarch Bravado.
3, yeah.
Yeah, and 3 credits. So now with 8 credits and 2 bad publicity, the question is, can Steven just drop that Unity and go back? Because he definitely understands here.
Maybe.
The only advanced card that you're worried about is an Atlas, and that is game-defining at this point. I think he has the Unity. The break math on Unity with only 1 breaker is not amazing, but you can do it. 2 bad publicity then does help. 6 strength, 3 subroutines. You don't have to break all the subroutines, very importantly. So thinking about it here, again, very important turn. A lot of times with these Wayland decks, there's so many Wayland decks where it's like step 1, sneak out an Atlas with a counter, step 2, win. So this is always like the very important turning point. And Hoshiko's not very consistent in finding breakers. Again, mid-run or mid-turn, a Banhar doesn't do anything. So you need to find a Botchless to get through 1 subroutine that matters.
Yep.
You need to find the breaker. Unity is playable. Buzzsaw is expensive, but you do it if you need to. I don't think we see a lot of boomerangs in these Hoshiko lists anymore. That used to be very common like a couple of years ago. But I think with Banhar and Botchless, you don't need it as much as you used to. So thinking about this here.
Yeah.
Huge turn. Again, 20 credits. That's the token. Again, Valentau only ends the run also if the credit differentials aren't there, but it's hard to fix that.
It's hard to imagine a situation where that's going to be relevant soon.
Sure gamble.
Instant Unity.
Unity. It looks like we're challenging it.
Last click run.
Last click run's all we have here.
I mean, that seems right.
It keeps Hoshiko too. I think there's a raindrops in hand to sweeten the deal as much as you can afford to 1, and some of the subroutines will probably fire. So you are even refunded some card draw here.
I do love Raindrops Castron.
Yeah. There we go.
Yep. All right, cool.
So now only 9 credits, but 2 bad publicity. Unity, you have to just straight boost it 5 times.
Oh, man.
You want to break the middle subroutine.
No other icebreakers on the board right now, of course.
So you want to break the middle subroutine.
Yes.
You don't have to break the first one. In fact, you don't want to. If you want to draw raindrops, you have to break the last. We're through.
Cool.
Axis, you want to see an Atlas there. And Atlas,
there
you do see huge turn there.
That's going to change the game, I think.
Paladin gets loaded up, gets more value. We get 3 credits. We're still at 9 credits after that. And because Hoshiko flips for 2 credits and a card draw eventually. And that puts you in a really awkward spot. Understanding your Valentau now does not end the run strictly. Your remote server is only safe if you can get something in front of it like a Trebuchet, which can threaten to trash the Unity. So the end the run on the credit differential matters. And we see, I think, 2 regulatory captures in hand.
I think I see a Trebuchet in there as well.
Yeah. Now, the question is, do you ever rush out a regulatory capture? The answer is almost...
At 4-2? Probably not.
Always almost no.
3-2 is arguable.
It's arguable.
Yeah.
You don't feel good about it, but it's definitely arguable.
No, you feel disgusting. Like, you need to take a shower after that game, but, like, you could win off of that.
So, Gregor here in a difficult position. Again, we're at 2 bad publicity, so we're halfway there. Sometimes you just want to hold on to them, put something else in the remote server, force them to run so that you res the trebuchets.
Exactly. You want to bait them into a run to get more reses.
So figuring out how to get here again, because the bad publicity is, again, it's only the hostiles. We haven't seen that yet.
We
the too big to fail. You only play that if you have fewer than 10 credits, so it's kind of out of reach. You are literally too big to fail now. We're drawing up. There it is.
Speaking of the devil.
So we have a trebuchet in hand, getting on the table. I think we have more money there. 5 credits on a subsidy up to 27. And again, there's 2 copies, if I'm not mistaken, a big deal. That's 17 to play, which maybe you can afford to big deal out the regulatory captures. That feels terrible.
Oof. Yeah.
And you see the Hoshiko start to turn triggers. There's so much going on here in the background.
This is a great reason to get as much practice in person as possible and
Yeah.
not just on JNet.
JNet
because you need
spoils us.
so much to remember. The fermenters, the paladins, the daily casts.
Yeah, Steven is very, very good. He misses very few triggers, and there's so many triggers that you can possibly miss. DreamNet coming down now means, again, now the operation.
Now the archive run is
Yes.
so valuable.
Now, DreamNet would still fire, getting a card and a credit, because that side of Hoshiko does have the digital subtype. But now that there's a card there, also Hermes coming down as well.
Okay.
You did see this card sneak into Hoshiko lists throughout the Continental season. It's very, very powerful. As much as Anarch is not spoiled for different consoles, this one is definitely up there and some of the best consoles you can play right now.
I mean, I've seen Anarch running Ma, certainly.
I mean, you see Ma, you sometimes see Keiko, we see Patchwork every once in a while. Like, there's good options.
Yep.
But yeah, this one does give some pressure on. So if you want to score at a hostile takeover, centrals are open.
Yep.
That can be an issue. We saw Finality, I believe, get shuffled back into the deck. So the corporation knows there's just a 4-card multi-axis on R&D, which with additional Hermes triggers, the board just disappears.
And what's really frustrating is even the 2/2 regulatory capture.
Yes.
A bit of a liability. You want to leave it on the table, maybe, if you want to avoid a Hermes bounce.
Double install, that's definitely some Hermes respect there. And this is really interesting too, is understanding that on 2 bad publicity, if you sit back and just build your board state, there's nothing impressive this corporation can do besides drawing an Atlas and a big deal. And you have one of the Atlases. Hosh, we're chugging through our start to turn triggers. Again, that archives is a bit of a liability here. You can run for a card and a credit. You definitely do that. How soon you do it on that turn. But I don't think there's a huge incentive. The longer you wait too, the more ripe HQ gets. The more likely there is the ugly red caps in hand.
Yeah,
and then
again, you are dividing by 5. Every 5 cards they draw, probably an agenda.
Here's a leech, even more value out that archives run. So now it's not only a card and a credit,
Oh, man.
but a leech counter. At a minimum, that leech counter is worth a credit. We'll probably see other breakpoints on the super popular, the Carmen that was just drawn.
Oh, yeah, true.
That can be worth 2 credits. That's such a good run on archives. And
And the Carmen's going to power up Unity as well.
Yes.
Making that Valental slightly less valuable.
so now that the Corp doesn't know, it's only the barriers that can keep it out. But Gregor here needs to top deck a big deal, needs to top deck an Alice. A hostile here, you probably definitely score it out, get to 3 bad publicity. And then if a Steven overextends, lets you res that 4th illicit ice or the 4th bad publicity, Carmen for 3, there you go. That means that you can start scoring the red caps from hand. And that's how you start to sneak on points.
I really hope we get to see a big deal happen.
Yeah. I think there might be a hostile drawn off the top here. Understanding if you score it
Hostile
out.
is kind of iffy right now.
I don't think you mind too much. I think you're worried more about HQ pressure, but you need to get to 3 bad pub as soon as possible.
Yes.
So you can get to 4 bad pub, so you can deal with the hand of red caps. Install.
And
I think you have to push it.
yeah, go for it.
Advance. Advance. Again. That is a hostile. So that's going to be 10 credits with the outfit and a huge amount of money.
Hey, that's 2 big deals.
Yeah.
In that 34 credits right now.
Yeah, you can spend a lot of that money very quickly. Again, the ice is res relatively cheap. 7 seems like a lot, but you res for 4. I think we have a Hermes bounce here.
Yeah.
I think you might have missed it. I think you would love the Hermes bounce here. It's a mandatory trigger, mind you. You're not allowed to miss it, but it's very importantly not optional.
Seems like it was missed.
But this is actually really interesting because now we're on 3 bad publicity, which means that Steven understands if he runs, we're suddenly on 4 bad publicity and the agendas will fly out of hand.
Yes.
And it's very obvious here that Gregor doesn't have a great hand. He's been playing econ cards, he's been drawing, it's been a bit awkward. He hasn't clearly had like clean turns. So I do think you're worried that there's red caps in hand because that's the card that probably gives you the most pause on how do I deal with this problem in front of me. So I think you need to see a turn here where like Gregor gets multi-axis and runs HQ and sweeps. Because as soon as you hit that 4, the game entirely changes. So
Yeah, very true.
We are probably going to see a bit of like a slowdown here until you can build up some multi-axis. We'll see what that is. Again, Wake Implant sees play. I think we see a twinning in hand and you have the setup
Twinning
here.
is going to be great.
Yeah.
With the Paladin Puemu powering that up.
Still just running Archive, such a good value run
Yeah,
here.
for sure. You're getting so much value out of it with DreamNet and Hoshiko and Leech.
Yeah, with no ice in hand, I think Gregor would definitely want to ice that up and
There's the twinning.
twinning. As long as you're Paladining once a turn, and notice how Steven didn't use the Paladin to install that, which would
Right.
have
You
eaten
want to
the
save
trigger.
it for powering it up now
Yes.
with putting down Hippo. Oof.
Hippo is definitely oof for what it's worth. I think Steven would just install anything he can because it's so important that he does one install a turn with
Yes.
the Paladin to get the twinning up because I think you're going to see an HQ run sweep 3.
Yeah. Any install has value because the twinning was going to give you multi-access because you installed something. That's great.
Yeah, you just have to use Paladin once a turn here. So it is. Hippo's obviously good. Hippoing down a big ice is you're gonna feel good about that. We're gonna crack the fermenter there. It is getting a bit ripe to the purge, as much as that's not the easiest thing for the corporation to do here. But 14 credits and 3 bad publicity means those runs are cheap. Like you're running Valentau for like I think it's like 1 or 2 credits. It's a 6 strength
Yeah.
code gate.
Very cheap.
And we do have a trebuchet. If you put that in archives, you do stymie the aggression, but third on R&D.
Interesting. All right.
Now this is cool. This kind of makes you think that the runner's going to run R&D, that you maybe don't have anything on HQ. Can be a bit of misdirection. We do see his hand here. But understanding that maybe I'm more worried about locking the top of the deck with a twinning as opposed to swiping these red caps. But
I do
either
like
way,
the idea of, you don't want to ice the thing that clearly has all the agendas in it. So maybe you want to make the runner think you're worried about R&D.
ice into draw, drawing to hedge fund. Again, the ordering there, you generally want to be drawing sooner than you're icing up in case you got something better, but I don't think we got punished there off a hedge fund draw. Paladin again, ticking up all the start of turn triggers. Archive still wide open, face down card. Worst case Mavirus, still feeling okay about it. And we have a cleaver in hand, full breaker suite assemble. You want to get that down properly for 2 credits to get the twinning charge. You can always run first. I don't think you need to show this right away if you're running archives, unless you want to run HQ here. Because mind you, twinning, you can see 3 cards max. So you could always just do cleaver, run HQ.
Yeah, and that's totally worthwhile.
There you go.
We're going to see cleaver.
So this is it. As soon as you run here, 4 bad publicity means that Gregor can just go, can get points out of hand, can go.
Yeah, you have to be very careful when you, choose to run, because you're going to see some bad pub.
So there's 5 other illicit ice in the deck, and that is one of them. Valenchow, again, only res for 2 credits with the outfit reduction, again, whenever bad publicities goes off. So that's going to be bad pub, not for this run. You can't use it. But now Unity, you boost once for 3. So it's boost,
Absolutely.
break, break, break.
Yep.
So if you want to break all the subroutines, you don't have to. Doesn't cost a lot. Down to only 11 credits. Going to use all the bad pub, if I'm not mistaken.
Hey, we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
And we can cut this, re-record.
Hippo, going to get through that Valenchow. Now HQ's 1 ice.
Winchester gets more powerful on HQ.
It's like really weird. Winchester
It's a weird ice. It's a very strange ice.
No play until this standard rotation. You're kind of lacking a mid-range sentry. Wayland just doesn't have a lot. They didn't have much going into this.
Yep.
This ice is kind of weird. It's not that bad. Again, Carmen, for just 3 credits on HQ when you use those 2 leech counters.
It's hard to know what to do with a laser scorpion tarantula, but
but that is a 5-cost break. With bad publicity, it's a 2-cost break, and now we have a better server to be running to just get the Dream Net. We'll see if we use the twinning here.
Ooh, and we know there's plenty of no
single
twinning
access.
Use. Okay. That's too bad.
1 red cap. So you love to see that out of hand once we're on 4 bad publicity now, because you know that is just a time bomb. It is 4 bad pub. I don't know if Steven has the 4 bad.
Reminding to use the Hermes, looks like.
Yep.
That's a good opponent.
Now this returns an ice to hand, so if you want to go back to scout the agendas out, you did make the density a bit worse. I think we might see a return run here, right?
I think I would. At this point, it's so easy.
You need a swipe with the twinning now. I don't know what the math actually. Do you want to go for a single then return for a twinning, or do you open
do
with the
twinning
twinning
first and then you return for a single?
I don't think the math is intuitive, but Dirty Laundry, that's a great start to make this even more tempo positive. 4 bad publicity means you go through that for 1 credit.
I don't. Oh.
We're building, again, the Dream Net's already gone off. We're building leech counters. It's hard to stop a Hoshiko that wants to run when you give them 4 bad pub. Twinning is fine.
We are using the twinning.
We're going to see 3 cards from HQ. We know one of them is a nice returned government subsidy.
Nothing.
Second card there. That's the hedge fund that was drawn last.
And
the second red cap. 2 of the big payoffs for getting 4 bad publicity are out of the game. Steven is on game point. The one play Gregor had last turn has been removed from his hand.
Yeah.
Such good pressure.
Surgically removed.
Understanding the 4 bad publicity threshold, getting in when the multi-access matters the most, letting HQ get ripe. And Paladin Puemo hit 3 counters because of too many agendas.
Because you still too many agendas, and you gotta install something.
Just put that into Liberated. So,
but it doesn't trigger twinning because twinning was already triggered this turn.
Exactly, yeah. Only once per. Yo, note taking.
Okay, note taking. Yeah, people can take notes. You're allowed to take notes.
Been really good at note taking. So anything he accesses from Central, he'll write down. I'm pretty sure underneath in brackets, he'll write that last turn I popped off.
Yeah.
Just so he remembers. But yeah, no, note taking. I think he's the only player I've seen really take notes at this event, and I hugely appreciate it. Subsidy. Up to 31, ice up.
Re-icing.
Double return.
Okay. R&D's where all the agendas are, I guess.
It's very obvious once you swipe all those points out of HQ. Right now, you just have to top deck. Right, like Gregor's not out of this. He top decks an Atlas, and he gets at some point also. He has a pivot in hand, so just that Atlas on the table, pivot to big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you can score out. We're at threat 6.
I do love a good pivot.
Yeah, pivot big deal is actually totally doable. You get 1 Atlas counter, like you can recover from this board state.
That's very true.
So it's all about locking the top of R&D. Now, again, it's hard to stop this Hoshiko rolling. You run HQ for 1 credit, get a Dream Net, get a Leech. Like, obviously the game's about R&D, but every turn now, Chromatically is going to have to get, you're going to see he's going to prioritize, get a twinning counter every turn, get a Dream Net every turn, and just continue to do the value engine that Hoshiko encourages you to do.
Yes, Chromatically is getting so much draw out of just the engine, nothing, like, no extra effort into the Right, and now Gachapon, in case you need to dig even further.
This card's really cool because you can use it with
I
bad
love
publicity, especially
Oh
during
my
a
God,
run.
you're right. Of course.
Now, I think the deck doesn't actually have any installs over 3 credits. That's 1 credit. So I think if you pop it here, they're actually incentivized to use the Paladin, not the bad pub. Like, it's really goofy how this interaction works.
That's a good point, yeah.
I think the only target here is
A well, yeah,
Quemo
he
or
can't do
Cleaver.
Hippo. Cleaver would...
It interacts with Unity, not in a
Yeah.
way that matters. But you see, we're going to install it with the Paladin, so you get a twinning charge. So the bad pub is useless here.
Well, you can do 1 Paladin counter and 2 bad pub.
It reduces it by 2, though.
Oh, no.
Yeah, right?
Damn you, Gachapon. Oh, you're right.
Shuffling back the cards that you definitely want in the deck. The Paladin was useless. That is also like just a card thinning. It's like pseudo card draw. It removes 2 cards from your deck. Like Gachapon is seeing
if
more
you
play.
have multiples of unique cards,
Yeah.
you might as well move them to game. That just makes your deck better.
Accessing there was a too big to fail to throw. That makes a lot of sense on 28 credits.
Yeah, it's not going to be triggered anytime soon.
I'm a big fan of the new card, Strike. What's it called? The Price.
The price, of course.
But Gachapon just seeing so much more play, just because the way that it interacts with that subset of the cards, especially
Yes.
the virtuals, the fermenters, it is really, really quite good.
I'm sure we'll see the price more and more.
Yeah.
But, Gachapon still has a place in all our hearts.
Bull Breaker Suite. I think 16
More than
credits.
we have an overflowing breaker suite.
4 bad publicity, 16 credits on a liberated accounts just sitting there in the corner.
Yep, and the leech.
And the leech.
For what it matters. Like, it's going to matter for the Cleaver for sure.
We got our 2 card draw turn. We're going to get off Dreamnet and Hoshiko. It is hard to hold this down. Now, Gregor still can get out of this. You just need to draw an Atlas. Just going to take, I think, 12 credits off of that? No,
Yeah.
sorry, 8 credits maybe? A lot of money. The rest of the turn.
Yeah, a lot of money. Okay, Mantray draw.
Top deck, that's a hedge fund.
I think. Yeah.
Now, you know there's a hedge fund in hand. So he has to think this through. This is a really hard part of cork play.
Yes.
Is that not a lot of players do this. I know I don't do this, but you have to prepare to smoothly play any hand. So I think there's a lot of cases where you have to be like, if I don't draw an agenda, what do I do? Because the faster you play your turn, it gives less reads to your opponent.
It's all about exuding confidence.
Because he has an Atlas.
I know, I saw you just draw it.
If he survives 1 turn here, I believe he can do install the Atlas, pivot for big deal, get an Atlas with a counter. So now he's
Okay.
drawn.
Yeah.
So he understands here if he pauses again, like this tells something to your opponent. Just click for credits, 2 credits.
Just act super casual. Don't worry about it.
And you know, click for 2 credits actually is a big tell because we know he has a hedge fund in hand.
Oh my God.
That's
we know.
more money, but he ideally wants to play the hedge fund to keep the hand, not play the hedge fund to keep it
not
padded.
dilute. Yeah, he wants to keep it. The hedge fund at this point is kind of like hit points against Kentucky.
Yes.
You just want there to be accessed instead of the agenda.
Now, I think arguably you wouldn't play the hedge fund anyways because you want to pad your hand, but that could easily signal that he drew an agenda that he wants to not go for 4 cards in
I
hand.
worry that it did definitely signal that.
So we'll see if
Because Gregor's been Steven's been keeping notes.
Yeah, exactly. He remembers the hedge fund and Dirty Laundry HQ is, there's the start there. We can see 3 cards of the 20 if we want. I believe we've got enough
And
installs.
We want.
Carmen with the Winchester. Might be a single Dreamnet triggering. We're going to get the leech counter again. Just so much value for bad publicity.
Wow.
You don't want to get to the mid or late game. Let's see if we use the counters here again. Looks like we're going to go for a single.
Okay.
It's a 1 in 5, I think. Just the hedge fund, the one you knew
Okay,
about.
the hedge fund doing its job.
Yeah. But again, that gives you
money for
pause.
that.
They clicked for credits when they could play a hedge fund. Is there something in there? I think there's a chance there might be.
Just run back. Just use. You don't even have to use all the twin encounters.
Yeah, you might want to do it again. If you lock the top of R&D, though, I think you're feeling pretty safe. So you might want to just hold for R&D. We are trashing that 5th MU cleaver.
The extra cleaver for a fermenter.
Yeah, it's not so much the money here. More so we just need to install 1 thing a
Yeah.
turn. Because 20 now, I believe, is at 2 counters and chop.
Ooh, chopping R&D. Okay.
We'll see
This is interesting.
how quickly those 30 credits go. Again, you're going to see 3 cards on the top of R&D. This is quite scary if they go
Gregor
through.
can res everything, then that might be very useful for him to just like negate the Hermes going forward.
Yeah, no, that's true. Admittedly, the Hermes, like, if the runner wins, they win, right? But
Well,
for the corp side,
for
yeah,
the corp side,
100%. Like, the corp, it's hard to score out because then there's 2 ice on R&D against a twinning.
Yep.
Like, that's a hard thing to hold down.
All right, thinking it through.
Again, we do have pivot in hand. We got some hedge funds. Now, the ice in the deck, envelopment might be the most expensive to break here.
Yeah.
I think Trebuchet is not a problem. Actually,
but even then, the leech
Yeah,
is
the
kind
leech.
of negating the strength of development. So
so see the Atomos here again. It's even harder. Like, if that is a Trebuchet, do you want to give 5 bad publicity, 6 bad publicity? Like, at some point, it's a wash.
yeah, you don't. It's hard to know.
But we're at the point where you run HQ for free with 5 bad publicity. How big of a problem is that? So Gregor, thinking this through again, you know the twinning there, and I love the twinning. This is the sort of card that's so good against some of the Glacier matchups. We just saw some like Asmari Glacier, where you make a very impactful single run when they don't know when you're going to use it or not.
Trebuchet going to 5 bad pub.
Res for only 4 credits with the outfit. So
It
again,
is very breakable by the Carmen.
you have to boost twice. So unless you use a single leech counter, you're going through that for 2 + 2 + 2. 6 is a lot for a single ice, but that can be a lot cheaper. There we go.
-4 bad pub, and yeah.
Just 1 leech counter does save you 2 credits, so we're breaking it for 4. Not bad. Again, we've eaten all our bad publicity. We have a 5th, but not for this run. Second trebuchet. We were 6 bad pub in?
Oh boy, yep.
In original Netrunner, you took 7 bad publicity. You lost the game. We're skirting that line. Another leech counter. Again, you could use all the leech counters, but just one's enough.
Yeah.
So again, that is now 4 credits, 1 boost, 2 breaks. Both of those subroutines are pretty reasonable.
Will we see 7 bad pub?
Show me another Valenchow. What's the worst case here? Boarding control's annoying? Just a Winchester.
Okay, Winchester.
Now, this ice only has 2 subroutines, so again, that's only 4 credits. It's 4 credits plus 4 credits plus 4 credits. Leech is dependent. But we're through, still 12 credits left. We have the Fermenter going. We have a Liberated accounts with some good money still on it. Going to get the leech counter.
Sure.
We're going to see 3 cards here with the Dream Net. This easily could be the game.
This could easily be the game.
Let alone locking the top of the deck. Envelopment.
Of course.
And there's the final red cap, finding all 3 of them. There's a 2-2.
So disrespectful, not allowing outfit to score a single regulatory capture.
Yeah, showing the hand there, the Alice and the pivot.
Yep.
Still left with big deal money. With all your ice res, maybe you're okay letting the bounce, but you need R&D to hold off. But oh man, the narrative of the game, that early Atlas going through.
Yeah.
You getting it, that defines
That really
so
changed
much of the game.
That was the pivot.
Yeah, exactly. The real pivot in the play.
The pivot was in your hand the whole time.
But you see this, it's obviously no surprise that Hoshiko engine, once it gets going, it is going. Everything pushes you forward.
For sure.
Outfit still has lines out there, but a lot of times the outfit decks, it either feels like, you really go wild in the very early game and then they can't catch up. But if you're behind and they have 5 bet publicity, they're running all over. And that's,
but you totally make a great point. Like there were outs. There was still a chance to win for so much of that game as well. Like just because you're down 1-6, it's not the end of the world. If you know your deck well, you might know that you have an out.
Yeah, it's still definitely possible. And hey, that is...
I'm not seeing... Like, there is a big deal in this deck, right?
There it is. Yeah, I think there's usually 2. I think this is the sort of list that like a Santa brought and 1 APAC Continentals. A lot of people have been playing something very similar. Understanding where to spend the influence, where to spend some of the tech slots, that's interesting.
Yep,
but a very, very robust list.
Oh, great game.
Anyways, that is only round 3. We have, again, 7 more rounds of the single-sided Swiss, and we'll be right back again. We're going to be trying to uploading these videos pretty consistently, and thanks so much for watching.
All right, bye, everybody.
Ciao. Hey, thanks so much for watching. It's totally worth knowing that game, of course, but also the commentary for that game was recorded before the most recent 2309 new ban list. Since that ban list dropped, DreamNet was banned, and it's a card you're going to see in almost every Hoshiko deck, I think every Hoshiko deck, because it's obviously very powerful with that digital subtype clause. In that game, I believe it fired 6 times, so that's 6 cards and 6 credits, so Hoshiko without DreamNet, probably still actually quite powerful, but it's worth, keeping that in mind. If you think Hoshiko looks pretty good, I do think a big part of it is very good runner play there. Well played to the runner. Of course, a huge thank you to all the names here. These are only some of the names of some of the patrons that help support this channel, and these edits, the gameplay stuff, it takes a lot of time to put all this together, so it just simply wouldn't be happening without the support from the community, so thank you so much. We'll be back on Sunday with another video. We're trying to do 2 a week. I'm worried that it actually might be a bit too slow. We're not going to finish this series before Worlds, which that's not great. So maybe we'll even speed it up. Let me know if there's too much content out there for you. Thanks for watching. Ciao.